In this world, some things are inconceivable, as well as those that cannot be explained logically, and things that could make one doubt what they're seeing. When people bear witness to such things, usually they'd attest it to magic. Well, that's what most say anyway. They're not wrong, but they're not exactly right either. If you want to go for the correct term, then handling manhwa would be more appropriate. This is grounded on reason and logic, but because it can't be seen by the naked eye, it's why people would use the term sorcery. This is exactly how they would describe the scene unfolding right in front of them, a talking cat. Might as well be Puss in Boots minus the boots. As Aaron's butler stands staring at the cat, you can't help but think of two things. Is that sorcerer who turned into a cat, or the other way around? On the other hand, Sir Jack is already thinking of a way out since it's been known that it's never a good idea to associate with sorcerers. That being said, he apologized to this fluffy being and said that it could visit the Garen estate in case it was offended. But the cat only ever moved forward and stood on its hind legs, front paws on its hip, disappointed that Aaron and Aaron won't be fighting at all. Still hoping they would, the cat produced a pink coin purse out of thin air, saying it'll lend them swords. This cat is like a cross of Puss in Boots and Doraemon. The cat managed to pull out a sword, although it's a little too short for our hero. As it kept swinging the sword, Sir Jack explained that this is all a misunderstanding and that the two families have a mutual relationship of trust and cooperation. Disappointed as it is, Sir Jack took this opportunity to bid their goodbyes to the Pereiras and ushered Aaron to the carriage, while Aaron and his butler did the same. As they left, Aaron can't help but wonder if it was a person that got transformed into a cat, but his butler only said that the being must be related to Curl, since she's also a sorcerer and promised to look into it once they've returned to the estate. Soon, Aaron is welcomed by both his parents as well as Curl at the palace gates. Now that the Pereiras are reunited, they quickly took to the dining table as Aaron shared stories of his time in Kronos Academy. His father was particularly proud of him for being acknowledged as an official trainee in the prestigious academy. Words he never thought he'd hear from his old man. At least Baron Pereira acknowledges his son. Gon's dad could never. The conversation turned quickly as his father mentioned that their butler, Marcus, shared that they encountered a talking cat on their way back. So that's his butler's name. Can't believe it took us 20 chapters to know that. Baron explained that the cat's name is Ruru and is a sorcerer who has an intelligence equal to humans. And yes, it's an actual cat. To this, Curl added that this cat is very powerful just by looking at it. What's more, Curl also said that this cat is a whole lot more powerful than any of the sorcerers she met at the capital. So is this cat a variant of Yoruichi-san from Bleach? Curl's mother also added that Ruru first visited the palace estate 10 days ago and asked to be Curl's tutor. Since the cat's a little suspicious, their parents had someone go check in with the Sorcerers Association to find out about this kitty. Ultimately, though, it's still up to Curl if she wants to be Ruru's apprentice or not. Suddenly, Curl slammed her hands on the table, demanding to know what Aaron thinks about Ruru, but our hero was obviously flustered and doesn't have a clue about sorcerers. But since he interacted with Ruru, surely he has an opinion about this kitty, right? Of course, her mother gently told her off, which Curl took badly, and Aaron, who's determined not to ruin the moment, decided to fish out of his pocket a gift for Curl, a pendant with a blue gemstone. As a tsundere of a little sister, Curl was speechless with Aaron's gift, while their parents just looked at each other and smiled. Of course, she said her thanks in a grumpy but shy way. But wait, there's more. Marcus also made sure to tell Aaron to buy souvenirs for his parents as well, and just as he was about to share them, Ruru came waltzing in the dining hall. This took the Pereiras by surprise, but Ruru only went on to say why the two have similar scents. Curl hurriedly grabbed Ruru, asking the cat what's it doing there. But the cat only said that it didn't mean to startle them and only wanted to persuade Aaron. That is, get him to persuade Curl to become Ruru's student. Ruru could see through Curl easily. If this cat could convince Aaron, then it's pretty easy to have Curl, since she's already exposed. A very red and mortified Curl walked out, shouting that she'll never become Ruru's student. On the other hand, Aaron and his parents only continued exchanging stories from the academy. Now that dinner is finished, Aaron lies on his bed, thinking of the events that happened today. He was happy that he heard his father tell him how proud he is of him, as well as them being so happy over the gifts he gave to them. Although it made him feel glad, it also saddened him because they've settled for being happy over something like that, which made him want to do more for them and become someone they could be more proud of. But he's a changed man now, so he decided that he'll make use of this time to resume his sword training. Our hero called for someone to tell them that he'll be at the training hall tomorrow at the crack of dawn, which is why he asked for several things to be prepared. The maid was worried since it took Aaron and Marcus half a month to return home, but Aaron assured her that he's more than excited to start wielding the sword again. In the Garen estate, Aaron, with a dejected look, has just been dismissed by his father, and as soon as he's out of the room, Viscount Phil Garen, Aaron's father, asked Sir Jack if something happened because of how his son is acting. With this, Sir Jack explained that they met Aaron on the way back, and Lord Garen asked if it was the same lazy lord who went to Kronos Academy. The gallant knight then proceeded to narrate what happened, and upon hearing this, Lord Garen blew a fuse and threw his teacup towards Sir Jack. So being an a-hole runs in the blood. He didn't stop there. He kept jabbing his finger on Sir Jack's chest, telling him off on what he didn't do back then, as Sir Jack remained calm and took the abuse. Then he talked himself that Jack may not have been able to intervene in this situation, but he once again roared in anger upon remembering that Aaron changed for the better. Phil Garen's veins are about to pop off, mad at the fact that Aaron has one-upped them. And it's not like Kronos Academy is a chamber of sorcery. And it turns out Phil Garen has been pretty envious of Aaron's father since long ago. How couldn't he? Aaron's father has thick, luscious hair, a pretty wife, and a sorcerer for a daughter. Not to mention that his kingdom grows prosperous by the day. Jealousy truly is an ugly disease. As Phil Garen continues to throw a tantrum, his other son, who has been sitting and witnessing all of this, urges him to calm down. He suggested that all they need to do is stomp on the growing weed that is Aaron. Right. Regaining his senses, Phil Garen asked his son, Ryan, if he has any plans in mind, to which the wicked eldest son of their household said that he does. The punitive expedition. There's an upcoming head conference of the 6 families of the Hale Kingdom which will take place in the Pereira territory. There, Ryan claims that they will make use of that event to drag Aaron down. Hearing this, Phil Garen was overjoyed, calling Ryan the pride of their family, and quickly dismissed Jack. On his way out, Jack thought to himself how much of an old bastard the Viscount was, while also worrying over Aaron, because compared to the lord of the house, Ryan Garen is much more ruthless, horrid, and cunning. The next day, the knights and guards of the Pereira estate walk into the training halls very early in the morning. It's not like they have any choice since the expedition is coming up. Plus, they need to do this unless they want more monsters roaming about in the kingdom. But one guard claimed that the expeditions have deteriorated over the years and have become nothing but a showcase for each family's greatness. However, the conversation was cut short after they saw Aaron has returned. What's more, our boy's busy doing pull-ups with an additional plate tied and adding weight to his body. They're quick to greet Aaron and ask what he's training for, but our hero only said that he's only doing personal training and he won't be a bother to them. Hearing this, they were quick to wonder if Aaron was disqualified from the Swordsmanship Academy, while another was quick to point the plate tied to Aaron's body. That's just for display, right? It's not really that heavy, but boy, were they wrong. As they were horsing around, Knight Orlan Jukran stepped into the halls to check what was all the ruckus about. Even he was shocked to see Aaron's development and wondered to himself what happened to the young lord in a year to be able to do pull-ups like that. But like many of the characters in this story, they were quick to downplay Aaron's feats and ultimately just focus on their own training instead. Now that Aaron's done with the warm-up, he drags his gigantic sword and was about to start swinging when he noticed that Ruru also came into the training grounds. Surprisingly, this kitty was busy grooming itself and didn't pester Aaron in any way, so Aaron focused on his own business as well. His own way of the sword, huh? If he wants to find it, he needs to stop swinging the sword just like the old man in his dreams. A week later, the guards and knights of the Pereira estate soon came to know that this new Aaron is no joke. They couldn't even keep up with the simple cardio running he's doing. The guards now acknowledge how impressive Aaron is with his training, but our hero could only think about the friends he made back in the academy who were much more impressive in his eyes. Those guys persevered through hardships without any help. Suddenly, his eyes wandered into the halls to see Ruru busy playing by himself. It has been a week, but this kitty still has been pretty quiet, and that's when one of the guards cautioned Aaron. He said that rumors were circulating that the cat brings bad luck to whoever's around it, even going as far as saying that Ruru is cursed. So that explains why the guards keep their distance over Ruru. Just as Marcus was about to call Aaron, our MC then called out Ruru on why I haven't been doing anything as of late. Wasn't it supposed to convince Aaron or something? The simple answer? Aaron's no fun and is too boring. In fact, he's as boring as hundreds of pebbles piled up in a river valley. That's one heck of emotional damage to our boy Aaron. But no matter. Ruru has decided to give Aaron a present, something he discovered from the humans called a bribe. And out of its purse, it fished out a teal-colored orb in exchange for Aaron putting in a good word of Ruru to his sister. Marcus was now by their side and shocked to see that the gift Ruru presented is a cat's eye stone. According to Marcus, a gem worth this size is enough to buy a fourth of the whole Pereira estate. But hearing all this, Aaron doesn't seem to be too impressed. If anything, he's just curious why Ruru wants Kirill to be its student so badly. To this, Ruru paused for a quick thought and just said because it felt like it. Ruru explained that it just really liked Kirill, that's why it wants her to be its student. Hearing all this, Marcus tried to intervene to say that it's not nice to bribe people, but Ruru took offense at this, thinking that Marcus must have underestimated Ruru to not know the value of money. Marcus tried to explain himself, but Ruru went on a long tirade of how it knows the value of things. Although it knows how humans value precious stones, Ruru said that other things are far more important, like the wooden ball that has a smell that Ruru absolutely adores, as well as a cattail filled with memories before Ruru started learning sorcery, and a stuffed bear given to Ruru by a friend. Who knew this cat would be so sentimental? Hearing all this, Aaron smiled to himself, thinking how Ruru even knows the value of such things that can't be bought with money, and just confirmed it. He likes this cat. In the end, Aaron refused the cat's stone presented to him, which greatly shocked the cat. Wasn't he listening when Marcus said a cat's stone is priceless? To this, Aaron answered that he just heard from someone that there are far more important things that money can't buy. Aaron sure pulled a reverse Uno card with that one. Though he still told Ruru that he'll tell her what our hero felt while conversing with the sorcerer of a kitty. Ruru may have been downtrodden for a hot minute, but this cat decided that it won't give up. Compared to Kirill, Aaron's an easier target, so with a quick jump. It made its way out of the training halls and said that it will continue with its persuasion tactics. True to its word, Ruru came back the next day and tried a different approach. It tried to involve Aaron in its daily activities. At first, Ruru hurriedly called out Aaron with such urgency that he thought something grave has happened. Turns out the kitty just wanted someone with them as it ate. The second time, Ruru hurriedly called out Aaron again the following day, asking what the white kitten on the roof is thinking. This silly interaction with Ruru left Aaron laughing, though Ruru was a bit pissed. But that's when it hit him. He only has a year to find his way to the sword, as tasked by head swordmaster Ian. Remembering this, our hero got up and proceeded to return to the training grounds to resume his swordsmanship training. Even though it's been raining pretty hard, Aaron continues to practice even harder than ever. He just can't sit around doing nothing, but at the same time, he also doesn't really know what to do. Unbeknownst to him, Ruru also followed him, observing what he will do. With so much frustration, Aaron gave one concentrated vertical slash, thinking of finding his way to the sword. Ruru, on the other hand, saw something else. The figure of a long-haired old man reflected on the puddle as Aaron swung his sword. Just when Aaron thought his swing was for naught, Ruru started approaching him and asked if he has ever tried learning sorcery before. Confused at what he heard, our MC was about to ask for more info when he saw a shining white orb floating in the air where the droplets of rain are swirling around it. With this magical phenomenon happening in front of them, another unexpected turn of events happened. Ruru took a step closer and asked Aaron to become its pupil. The raindrops continued to swirl around the orb, giving off a tense atmosphere. And what's more, Aaron noticed that Ruru's not acting like itself. Is this cat actually Beerus in disguise? But this all happened in a split second since Ruru resumed its usual antics of persuading Aaron, but this time, to become its student. Aaron flat out refused Ruru's offer, shocking the cat, with our hero explaining that he's a swordsman, not a sorcerer. But Ruru won't budge. This kitty is determined to teach Aaron, which left him wondering how exactly he's gonna learn when sorcery isn't something you learn just because you want to. But Ruru begged to differ, since no one is more suited to practice sorcery than a swordsman with a strong will. And based from Ruru's observation, there's a high chance that our MC could awaken an ability that will help his swordsmanship. To this, our resident talking cat explained the difference between swordsmen, magicians, and sorcerers. Swordsmen, as well as others who practice martial arts, focus on their bodies, which is the inner world. By undergoing endless training, achieve a mysterious power called the aura. On the other hand, we have the magicians, who focus on the surrounding environment, which is the external world, and harness the mysterious power of nature called mana. Lastly, we have the sorcerers. To put it simply, sorcerers demand the impossible. They're the ones to break logic and make unreasonable demands on the world. Case in point, Kirill not only summoned a griffin, a legendary being, but she also made a move. Sorcerers are powerful, since they ignore the laws, set on making their desires become reality no matter how impossible it is. Ruru stressed that sorcerers have wills that are so strong that it's possible to change the world by themselves. To put it simply, a sorcerer's power is equal to their willpower, and seeing Aaron's vertical slash, Ruru sensed a strong will behind it, making him a strong candidate for sorcery. Even with the tiniest of help, Aaron can awaken his powers in this field, but even with all this convincing talk, our hero flat out refused Ruru's offer. This time, Aaron muttered his reason, but an annoyed Ruru told him to speak up, and finally, our MC revealed that the swordsmanship he showed is not something of his. This confused our resident kitty, but wait, Aaron realized that maybe Ruru can interpret his dreams, so he decided to open up about it. At the end of Aaron's story, Ruru guessed that in Aaron's situation, it may have been a case of possession. And no, not the conjuring type of possession. The kitty recounts how it has heard of a few instances where someone was possessed by a memory or a soul of a different person, though Aaron's case isn't exactly the same. Still, that shouldn't stop him from learning sorcery, right? With all this talk, Aaron realized that the old man's swordsmanship must really be something if a sorcerer like Ruru could somewhat interpret the dreams he had, right? But Aaron's one tough cookie. He refuses to learn sorcery, since not only does he refuse to awaken sorcery through someone else's will, he's hellbent on learning his way of the sword. Ruru asked further about this way of the sword our hero keeps talking about, apart from the vertical slash he kept practicing for so long. Seeing Aaron's annoyance and frustration at the same time, Ruru decided to advise its student, despite Aaron not agreeing to it. According to Ruru, what Aaron has been doing all this time is not an effort, it's just a waste of time. Is this cat blind or what? We've seen our MC slaving over this vertical slash since Chapter 2. Aaron now lies in bed, more puzzled and frustrated, especially because of what Ruru said. However, his thoughts got cut short after he heard a knock on his door, and it was none other than Marcus. His butler carefully asked if Ruru was anywhere in the room and told our MC that there's something Aaron needs to know. First, there's the upcoming subjugation expedition that will take place in the Pereira estate, so Marcus gave him the heads up that his father will most likely reach out about this soon. Then the other thing is about Ruru. It's about the bad rumors circulating about the cat. At the mention of this, Aaron gave a worried glance over his bed, but Marcus didn't seem to notice, so his butler proceeded to share what he discovered about Ruru. Based on his findings, Ruru is notorious for the trail of bad luck it left in its wake. It has been said that Ruru was a part of Oracle, a sorcerer's guild in the East Continent, and shortly after leaving the Oracle, it burned to the ground. Another ominous event tied to Ruru is when the second son of the Jackal entrusted his life to Ruru. Sadly, the figure passed away due to an unfortunate accident. Man, Ruru sure sounds a lot like Tsunade in this aspect. But wait, there's more. Even the wealthy Balvenie merchant group was struck with bad luck after adopting a black cat. Aaron was still doubtful about all he heard, but Marcus assured him that it was all true. The question is there evidence that Ruru was directly involved in these unfortunate events? To this, Marcus answered that there's no proof that the cat was there. So that was the single factor that connects all of these events. Additionally, Marcus said that there's a chance that Ruru may be innocent, and these all may be groundless rumors, but he strongly advises our hero to not put himself at risk, and then left shortly. In a quiet voice, Aaron spoke out loud that Marcus was only trying to look after him in the best way he can, and that our hero also promised that he'll tell Curl exactly how he felt while talking to him. Plus, Aaron thinks that this cat isn't malicious and has no intention of hurting others. Sure, it was a bit peculiar, but there's a lot of good characteristics in it as well, which is what Aaron would like to tell Curl. Hearing all this, a voice spoke from under the bed, asking what if something bad happens to the Pereira siblings, but Aaron only smiled, confirming that Ruru was indeed inside the room and heard all of what Marcus had to say. Since Ruru's already here, our MC asked if everything Marcus said was true, to which Ruru said yes. But when Aaron asked if Ruru was the one behind these incidents, this enchanted being quickly popped its head out of the bed to deny it. Ruru then went on, narrating his side of the events, but all Aaron could think of is that either Ruru is lying or it's just a series of unfortunate events which are both dangerous. But Aaron only told Ruru that he'll be fine and it's okay for them to remain friends, which scared Ruru. What if something bad happens to Aaron? To this, our MC replied that he also had his fair share of bad rumors surrounding him, but he assured Ruru that he'll be the one to decide what to do from then if ever something bad did happen to him. Hearing all this, Ruru can't help but get teary-eyed, as if this cat wasn't cute enough as it is. Now it's extra cute. Aaron was still talking about how he'll persuade the others, but Ruru was already busy pulling a gigantic orb out of its magical purse. Compared to the cat's eye stone, this new gift it's presenting to Eren is way more expensive, and dumped the item in Eren's bed in a hurry. Since Ruru made a pretty quick escape, Eren is left with a blue orb, remembering that it's one of the treasures Ruru showed him a little while back that was a little huge. Now, what could this orb do for Eren? The next day, Eren went to his father's office and expressed his wish to join the upcoming punitive expedition. Baron Pereira had to ask his son again if he's sure of this decision, which our hero affirmed with determination. As a word of caution, his father informed him that in contrast to fighting monsters, what happens during this event is more of a confrontation between families, which may be a lot more stressful than Eren thinks. But Eren was determined to do his part as part of the Pereira family and told his father that he'll do his best. A week later, the first coach to arrive at the Pereira estate is none other than Viscount Phil Garen along with his two sons, Ryan and Eren. It's the House of D-Bags, I tell you. Eren gave a nervous gulp, but the Viscount only greeted him with glee, saying that he has become much manlier than last time, while Baron Pereira offered to escort the Garens inside their estate. Soon enough, the dining hall is filled with all the prominent families chattering about. On the other hand, Eren sits quietly, remembering Marcus' warning that there aren't any families that are on good terms with them. Just because there are no conflicts with them doesn't mean the Pereiras also have a good relationship with them either. Seated at the table are Baron Bauer and Baron Fried, while sitting opposite them are Baron Lester as well as his two sons and Baron Russell with his son. The last two families are known to harbor animosity towards Eren's family, as well as the Garens. Marcus gave extra precaution over Viscount Garen, especially since they have not been on good terms with them since the previous generation. Just then, Eren's father proposed a toast, thanking everyone who came to their estate as well as for the peace and prosperity of the 6 houses of the south. They all raised their glasses in cheers, but since this was a first for Eren, he watched over what the others did and followed suit, drinking the wine hurriedly. Our hero was just thinking of how bitter it is when he became aware of several stares directed his way. The Lesters, as well as the Garens, were staring straight at him. Is it wrong to drink wine after a toast? Viscount Garen was the first to break the silence, telling Eren with a laugh that he held the glass wrong and lectured him about white wine's sensitivity to temperature. Because of how he held it, the oldest Garen said that Eren is unknowingly transferring the heat of his hand to the wine and that he should hold the glass by the stem next time. You'd think that would be the end of it, but this time, he lectured Eren about grabbing spices using the thumb and pinky, saying that these pieces of information are pretty common knowledge and such table manners must be maintained by nobles. Hearing this, Baron Lester and Baron Russell chimed in while Eren just kept quiet. However, Baron Pereira just kept quiet while the Viscount tried to save face, telling Eren's father that he didn't mean to offend or anything. This old snake, he's definitely mocking Eren for not knowing that. Baron Pereira only answered silently that he took no offense in that while Eren gave him a worrying glance. Thinking that he got away with the low-key insult to Eren, Viscount Garen then proceeded to ask Ryan about his thoughts regarding the symphony he recommended last time. Ryan answered in gusto while Baron Lester joined in the conversation, praising the young Garen and how he's well-versed in music. He extended the conversation to Eren, asking what our MC likes to listen to, but Eren only answered shamefully that he doesn't listen to music. Hearing this, Baron Lester said that it must be because our young hero is busy with Cronus Academy. Nonetheless, this old fart made a snide remark on how Eren should at least be cultured to some extent unless he wants to cut the conversation short and embarrass both parties. Like Viscount Garen, Baron Lester disguised this as a joke, while Ryan seats smugly across Eren, thinking that right now, our hero must feel pretty useless since all he did was lay around in bed all these years. Eren isn't the only one being put in a tight spot, his father is too. Now, Eren felt all the pressure and uselessness from not knowing anything. As he sits quietly, on the verge of a panic attack, his father asks him if he's alright since he's clearly panting and shaking by now. Eren excused himself early and apologized while his father just let him be. As he exits the dining hall, he starts running and crying, thinking of how much his family has endured for him all these years and how much of a bad son he is. He finds himself in the training grounds and was quick to grab his sword, hoping that every swing would calm him down. But this wasn't the only frustration he's thinking about. He still doesn't know his way of the sword. As he kept on swinging, he's reminded of his last conversation with Ruru and how the cat told him that overexerting his body just by going through the motions isn't enough to call it effort. For it to be counted as effort, one must pour their whole heart, body, and soul into doing something. So what Eren needs is also to put his heart into his actions. Their conversation ended with Ruru asking him if he put his heart into his swordsmanship as well, but to our young hero, Even he doesn't know the answer to that. Aaron just finished doing the vertical slash when he heard voices from behind him, surprised to see that our MC is indeed on the training grounds. Not only that, they also took notice that he has the right posture for swordsmanship, while the other proposed a duel while the old geezers are still talking. These kids are all bark and no bite. The owners of these voices are none other than the sons of Baron Lester, Kevin, and Caesar, accompanied by a tall man with dark black hair, Martin, the eldest son of Baron Russell. Like the others, he also took a jab at Aaron, calling out our hero for not replying to the challenge as well as for not being able to hold the wine glass properly. Martin even voiced out that maybe Aaron doesn't even know how to handle a sword properly since he only spent a year at Kronos. Boy, I can't wait for this guy to get schooled. However, the two younger boys were taken aback when Aaron suddenly faced them, sword in position and with burning passion in his eyes, told them to come at him. Seeing how Aaron is already in position and hearing his proclamation, Kevin was pissed that this once lazy lord had the guts to stand up to him. In a stride, he quickly walked over to where the swords are kept and chose one while thinking that Aaron's no match against him. The dude only trained for a year, so Kevin thought that Aaron would be no match for him. What's more, he thought to himself that he put our hero to shame properly. Spoiler alert, we all know he'll be shamed in a few seconds. Kevin got into position, smiling and thinking to himself that this would be an easy win, even telling Aaron that he could have the first move when it all happened in a blink of an eye. The young Lester brat wasn't even finished talking when Aaron came in one fell swoop and disarmed Kevin. His sword flying right out of his hand, our hero placed the tip of his sword onto Kevin's neck, who is now lying on the ground. Told ya someone's gonna be shamed in seconds. Caesar and Martin were beyond shocked when Aaron quietly got up, asking who the next challenger was. Kevin. The poor sport that he is complained that this one didn't count and his excuse was that he didn't yell start yet. But Aaron calmly said that they could go again. Just as Kevin tried to reach for his sword with trembling hands, Martin intervened and told him that he'll take him on instead. Kevin tried to have his way, but Martin gave a threatening glare that the younger one had no choice but to back up. Martin was half a foot taller than Aaron and tried his best to threaten him, but Aaron only looked on and never backed down while the two Lester brats kept telling each other that Aaron's win didn't count. But since Martin's build is on a different level, they all thought he would win against our hero. Martin was the first to strike, giving a quick slash that Aaron blocked, and he continued with his offense, one blow after another, thinking that Aaron's blocks won't work. He was pretty hard at it for a time, and even the Lesters thought that he had the upper hand, but Aaron only continued to parry his attacks with a blank stare. What happened to all that arrogance earlier? Suddenly, Aaron countered Martin's attack with a powerful swing that blew the taller boy back. Now, it's his turn to try and block Aaron's attack. We all know how much power our boy put into his swings, delivering one slash after another with Martin barely keeping it together. Sure, the taller boy managed to hold off Aaron, but at the cost of his hands that are now throbbing in pain. As he paused to look at the state of his hands, Aaron also paused, asking if he's already done, but Martin is now shaking in fear, thinking that he doesn't want to do this anymore. Fellow was sure as heck ready to bounce the heck out of there, begging in his mind for someone to stop the duel. As Aaron was about to deliver his vertical slash, another voice can be heard in the background calling off the duel since it was pretty obvious who the winner was. The owner of the voice was none other than Ryan Guerin, who also instructed Martin to give up so as not to cause serious injuries on his hands. Seeing that Aaron has improved, Ryan proposed a duel but with real swords instead. Aaron was shocked, but his older brother only smirked as Aaron agreed. As Aaron held on to his weapon, Ryan kept telling himself how Aaron's audacity has grown since he joined the Swordsmanship Academy and how he'd like to at least put a scar on our hero's face. Like Kevin, Ryan proposed that Aaron could strike first, but Aaron just kept quiet. Just as he was about to withdraw his offer, our MC accepted, striking one of Ryan's nerves. Intent on getting back at Aaron, Ryan tried to rile him up by saying that he never knew he'll be dueling the Pereira firstborn like this since the last time they met. Aaron was but a cowardly brat at the time. Hearing that, Aaron can't help but tremble, but whether in rage or shame, we don't know. But he's a changed man now. Aaron took a deep breath and closed his eyes to meditate while holding the sword. Seeing this, Ryan was just about to comment while the others were shocked to see what Aaron did, calling him a sham. Just as quickly, Aaron opened his eyes with a glare and Ryan was taken aback, seeing our hero deliver a vertical slash. Ryan was quick to move 3 steps back, and in a matter of moments, he was backed into the wall, panting and clutching his sword hard. With quite a distance between them, Ryan questioned himself if he was just scared of Aaron for a moment there. Of course, he's in denial, as Ryan was about to attack. A sharp crack can be heard, and with a clang, his blade was cut in half. As his sword split in half in front of him, Ryan sees Eren standing calmly in front of him while the rest of his cronies' mouths were wide in shock. As Ryan tried to make sense of what just happened, he was now shaking scared as to how the sword broke when it didn't even clash against Eren's. His thoughts were cut off when he heard the familiar voice of his father walk into the training grounds, accompanied by Baron Lester, Baron Russell, and Eren's father. But Phil Garen was silenced when he saw that the sword in his son's hand was broken, and was even more shocked when he heard Ryan say that he lost a duel to Eren. Bet that even if all of them gang up on Eren, they'd still come home crying. Hearing this, Irene Pereira looked at Eren, who only looked away and wasn't even bragging about it. Our hero is pretty humble in victory, and we all know he's gracious in defeat. Ryan, being the conceited a-hole that he is, decided to downplay Eren's win and acted normally, over-dramatizing the events. He quickly went on a long explanation of how Eren's swordsmanship has improved and attacked him 5 times from a distance of 5 meters, which led to his sword being split in half. Phil Garen was quiet for a moment before going along with his son's act while Baron Lester joined in, and this activity just strengthened their alliance all the more. Shortly after, the families left one by one as the night went on. On the way out, Phil Garen lectured Ryan that as much as he's glad that his son lost on purpose to Eren to strengthen the family ties, he warned him that Ryan shouldn't change their plans as he pleases. Angry at what happened, Ryan called for Sir Jack Stewart to prepare 5 soldiers for him when they go back. Like Pope Francis said, wretched are those who are vindictive and spiteful. Back in the Pereira estate, Eren's father is discussing with him that it's okay if he doesn't join the punitive expedition, and urges his son to focus on becoming a trainee at Crummus Academy. But Eren has decided he wants to join the expedition and is firm on his want to participate no matter what happens. In addition to that, he also promised his father that he'll work on his shortcomings in the next 3 weeks and will only give up if his father finds it unsatisfactory. With that, their conversation ended, and as Eren went on his way, Kuril and his mother only looked at him with worry, especially Kuril. After the talk, Eren continued his swordsmanship practice, swinging his sword with such force that there was a gust of wind following it. All the while, he kept thinking about how he didn't want to let his family take his burdens from him, nor does he want them to get mocked for whatever he does. With everything, Eren is determined now more than ever to not let his family endure sadness and anger anymore. Just as he finished with the vertical slash, Eren asked out loud if his current actions and appearance are still in vain, and looked to his left to see Ruru standing on the balustrade above him. This time, Ruru answered him that his actions now have effort imbued in them. Eren quickly followed up if he's now fit to learn sorcery, which Ruru approved, but not this time. The cat advised Eren to calm down and control his feelings, since they'll start training tomorrow. True enough, Ruru's training for Eren commenced the next day. Now that they have the training grounds all to themselves, they could practice sorcery. But a moment of silence for Ruru's outfit for the day. Have you ever seen a cat wearing glasses and a bow tie? Well, now you have. Our resident kitty insists that you have to look the part, since small things such as these influence one's attitude. Back to sorcery training, now that Eren has a reason to learn sorcery, which is to protect his family. Ruru stressed that this desire of his needs to be stronger. To do that, they touched upon the subject of superstition, groundless rumors that have no reasonable proof. If you think about it, the belief in rumors is practically a necessity in the world of sorcery. No matter how absurd a story is, the power of sorcery is dependent on how much one's belief is poured into it, says Ruru. Even in ancient times, not only did people worship large boulders, but also the sun as their god, and tried to fulfill their wishes through religious rites, which is considered the strongest of all beliefs. Another effective way to get one's desire is through sacrificing one's self, but Ruru strongly advised against it, since there's a chance that he'll end up at the hands of the devil. So right now, the best course of action for Eren is to train his swordsmanship imbued with his strong desire. With the sun already high in the morning sky, Eren practices his swing more fervently than ever, and that's because his swings are imbued with desire. Recalling his last conversation with Ruru, Eren was shocked that the kitty sorcerer wanted him to continue with his swordsmanship training as is. But Ruru says it's different this time, since now they have a contract and is for our hero to swing his sword 1,000 times with sincerity. What's more, the master sorcerer tells his apprentice to think about how he could move forward not only with a genuine heart, but also how to improve himself. By doing repeated actions related to his desire, not only his faith, but also his heart will become much stronger, and will strengthen with every day that he fulfills this contract. Easier said than done. Eren struggled and wondered if he's doing it right. Does he just swing it with all his power, or does he have to think of his family with every swing? Or maybe he needs to reflect on his past while he swings it, as Eren puzzles over what he's doing. Ruru only looks on and thinks that it's already enough for now that Eren is thinking about it. So Eren spent his days swinging the sword with a desire to protect his family. But on the 10th day, Eren threw his sword down, wondering if he's doing it right, just as he thought that he may be wasting his time. Ruru appears, questioning what cools the fiery heart and smashes the rock-hard heart into grains of sand. Before Eren could answer, Ruru says that it's doubt. Doubt towards one's self is something natural. Ruru assures him. It manifests itself since the heart can always be burning with passion, and when his body has gone heavy, that's when doubt seeps in. When that happens, it's easier to fall into a pit of negative thoughts, which is why Ruru advised that it's better together. If Eren can't find it to believe in himself, then you should try believing in those who have believed in him. Hearing this, Eren was surprised, but Ruru was on a roll. The cat is now up on Eren's face, telling him to pay back those who believe in him by returning the belief the same way. But Eren, the emo boy that he is, gently held Ruru and returned the cat to the ground, saying there aren't many people who believe in him. Since he was busy running away from his problems, he doubts others believe in him, but Ruru shut him up by saying it believes in him. The cat even reminded Eren that our hero reminded Ruru that Eren's like an extremely smooth, pretty and sturdy pebble. People surely won't hate a pebble like that. But compared to Kurl, who is a sapphire, Eren is still pretty good. Plus, Ruru said it from what it has seen. There are actually many people who believe in Eren in contrast to what our hero originally thinks. With that, Ruru dismissed today's lesson and Eren is left wondering about their conversation as he lies in bed that night. He starts thinking about his family who has believed in him for more than a decade, as well as the sword headmaster and drill masters, as well as his friends back in the academy who have shown nothing but support for him throughout his stay there. Then there's Ruru too. Even if Eren thinks he's not enough, it still believes in him. As Eren closed his eyes thinking about them, a dark blue force suddenly surrounds his whole body, with his last thought being if he could ever become someone that encourages others. With that, Eren's whole body is engulfed in a dark blue force field, and in another part of the castle, Kurl was just flipping through her book when she felt the powerful sorcery. She quickly ran to Eren's room to see Ruru is trying its best to reach Eren, who is now floating inside a blue orb, and according to Ruru, his brother has awakened sorcery. Kurl quickly demanded what happened, and the cat narrated that Eren went inside his heart to realize his own desire. It's a space that no one but him can enter, ideal for manifesting, and while in there, he will continue with his training. As long as he hasn't obtained a result that he's satisfied with, Eren will continue to be encased in the blue orb, and no one knows when that will be. According to Ruru, it could take a day, months, or even years. While saying this, Ruru can't help but think to itself if he did manage to bring bad luck once again to those around him. Meanwhile, inside Eren's own heart, he's once again transported to the dream that has haunted him for years. The long-haired swordsman continues to practice and swing his sword, but this time, Eren was surprised to see the swordsman has blue eyes too, and is looking directly at him. What the swordsman? He's looking right at me. Eren thought to himself. Suddenly, the swordsman's body started to emit a blue aura that turned into gold. Is he going Super Saiyan on us? But no. The man's aura extended like tentacles and grabbed Eren by his forearms, pulling him to the swordsman, who is now all bright and yellow from the aura. Eren screamed as he was pulled with such force, and when he opened his eyes, he was now lying on the ground, thinking that he must have had a weird dream on a hard bed. He did a double take and realized that he really is on the ground and is wearing a different set of clothes. When he looked behind, the swordsman's house is still there. None of this makes sense. But wait, could this be a situation with no logical explanation sorcery? As Eren thought this, he approached the large sword lodged in the ground, thinking that he must have awakened sorcery. And if this place is realized by his desire, then it's definitely a place of training. With that, Eren picked the sword up and took a deep breath. This space is meant for only him, his place of training. Realizing that he's got the whole place to himself, Eren started swinging while thinking that he's determined to find his way of the sword here no matter what. In a blink of an eye, Eren realized he spent the majority of the day practicing the sword, and now night has already fallen. Disappointed, Eren wished to himself how there was daylight all day and was supposed to make his way back to the cottage when he noticed a light coming from behind him. As soon as he turned around, the sun was already out. The power of sorcery. Just to try things out, Eren wished for spring, as well as a nice breeze too. Then he ran inside the cottage. He wished to change his clothes, which happened in a snap. Not only that, but there's food already waiting for him at the table. After supper, he lay on his bed thinking how this is the most ideal training place for him and how incredible the power of sorcery is. Days pass, and it was already the 5th day Eren is spending here. He discovered that no matter how many times he sleeps, he'll always wake up in this dream. So does that mean he can't leave this place unless he obtains his goal? It would appear so. While training, he can't help but think about the swordsman in his dream, though, and how he's connected to him. But he cut off that thought and just focused on training, thinking he'll swing the sword 3,000 times today since he did it for 2,000 yesterday. With each passing day, Eren increases his swings, and by the 211th day, our hero couldn't swing past 6,000 times. This left him feeling a bit frustrated, but he brushed it off and tried to calm himself, urging himself to just keep swinging. By the 353rd day, Eren couldn't swing past 5,695 times, which left him feeling dejected, but then again, he realized that he hasn't rested at all the past year, so he decided to throw down the sword and stagger toward the cottage. He took a break, and by the 417th day, Eren stopped wielding the sword after 3,695 tries since his right hand is starting to hurt. Scared that he might injure himself, he decided to call it a day and said we'll resume tomorrow. The sun kept on shining in Eren's little world, and by now, it's already the 624th day since he entered this humble world. Lying in bed, he has outswum the sword for 96 days, already feeling depressed and tired of it all. It looks like Eren has reverted to the lazy lord. He now lies in bed, dazed, thinking that he's not even surprised he ended up like this. With a sigh, he recounted how he already lived half of his life as a deadbeat, and the diligence he showed in the academy wasn't his to begin with. It was the swordsman in his dream. Eren wallows in self-pity, especially now that everything has gone down the drain since the old man disappeared. With every negative thought that he's thinking, Eren continues to be covered comfortably in bed, thinking how he's only been dedicated for a year. Before he drifted to sleep, the last thing he thought about was how long he has been here, but it doesn't matter anyways. Eren. Eren woke up with a start. Who was that? His eyes suddenly went wide when he saw who the voice belonged to. Ilya is at his door, telling him to get ready for training. Because of this, our hero quickly got up too quickly and even slammed face first into the hardwood floor. Ilya laughed in behind her. Eren could see that the sun has just come up. So now, out they went for a morning run. While running, Eren thought how there wasn't a trail like this before, but before he could wander further, Ilya challenged him to run much faster. Just as he was trying to catch his breath, Ilya was already at the table eating and telling him to eat as well since they'll start training after. As he sat down and ate, he kept giving curious glances toward this silver-haired visitor, and when he tried to question how she ended up there, Ilya only told him to stop asking useless questions. Eren, this is all sorcery, remember? Everything's possible here. They immediately started training, and Ilya was disappointed at how Eren has slacked off in the last few months. His swings and form are pretty crappy now. But what surprised our MC the most is how Ilya told him his heart is completely empty and that he needs to fill it with sincerity like what Ruru instructed. Just when he was about to ask how she knew Ruru, Ilya went full-on berserk and to not ask her useless questions. Because of that, she made him swing the sword 2,000 times more. Then came the night. Ilya praised Eren for the good work he put in today, and just as quickly, she disappeared like fog. Seeing her disappear like that, Eren felt a bit sad, but when he went to bed that night, he wondered how Ilya came to be in this world. Did he happen to summon her unconsciously? Despite all these thoughts, our hero fell asleep with a smile, thinking that it wasn't so bad. Next thing he knew, Eren is grabbed by the collar by a loud voice calling him a brat and to get up. This time, it's our favorite fiery red-haired trainee, Judith. She threatened to beat Eren up if he plans to sleep in more, and like the usual Judith, she dragged Eren outside while talking to someone. That someone is none other than Brett, and Ilya's back here too. Judith already initiated a duel with Eren, but as per usual, Brett told her that they haven't even warmed up yet. As the two started to bicker, Ilya pulled Eren aside to continue with her own training. Finally, the gang's back together again, even if it's just make-believe. As Eren continued with his training, doubt once again crept into his mind because of his poor form. But before he could sink deeper into negativity, Ilya called his attention, encouraging him that he was improving and that his form is only unstable. With a smile, she told him that he could do it, and when our hero looked to the other side, he could see Brett and Judith also giving him an encouraging smile. Now, all four of them are up early in the morning doing sprints, and each of them coaches Eren on his swordsmanship, which made him wonder why they're helping someone like him who's weak and lazy. Why do you have so much trust in me? Eren wonders to himself as the four of them have supper together. Eren is off to one of their runs, and by now, he could feel the exhaustion to the bone. He could barely breathe, his feet are getting heavy, and now he was nearing his limit. But how is it that despite feeling all these, he still feels that he can run a little farther? But before he could savor this feeling, a blur of red zoomed past him, and he could hear Judith proclaim that she won't lose with Brett and Ilya running close at the back. After their run, this time, Eren faces off with Brett, and boy, did we miss our blue-haired boy's speedy skills. Their swords clashed, with Brett stepping back and bracing himself for another attack that Eren parried. But he wasn't done with that one blow. He let out a barrage of attacks that Eren couldn't do anything but lift his sword in defense. Seeing this, Brett praised Eren's action, and that he was much more stable today than yesterday, and with that, Eren threw a big diagonal swing that Brett managed to evade. But just as he did that backstep, Eren was already positioned at his back that Brett had to swerve to block Eren's attack. Seeing this, Judith cheered on our hero while Ilya commented that it was the first time Brett kept his distance from Eren. Brett was impressed, but Eren only said that it was thanks to him. Just like that, time passed quickly and the sun is already setting as Eren thought to himself that he was wrong. There was no need for him to struggle by himself. He remembered what the fortune teller told him back then. As long as he has people who trust and support him, he can overcome anything. While thinking that, Eren just broke his record of 10,000 swings. Hearing that, Judith gave a stretch saying that their job is already done, but Brett only said that there's a chance that Eren may summon them again. Before they disappeared, Judith told our hero to not only stop feeling sorry for himself, but also to not doubt himself. Ilya also cheered him on one last time before disappearing as well. With a smile, Eren picked his sword up and resumed his training again, but with more determination this time. It's now the 1237th day since Eren entered the world, and today, he's out running pretty hard, and he's still training as diligently as ever when day 1292 came. Then day 1375, 1492, 1566, 1613, 1687, 1755. The first flower bloomed as the sun rose, with Eren standing still in the field. His form is much bulkier than before, and he grew taller as well while emitting a yellow aura, sword still in hand. He took a deep breath and is reminded that this was the feeling he had back at Kronos Academy, which made him wonder, how much have I grown? With a smile, he thought to himself that it's been a while since he summoned the Golden Trio, and just as quickly, they appeared. Judith was pretty shocked at Eren's growth spurt and was just about to tell him off if he summoned them for some crappy reason, but Eren picked his sword up and asked for a duel. Thinking it was a 1-versus-1 duel, Judith agreed, but Eren only chuckled and made himself clear. He was asking for a 3-versus-1 duel, and as if to make a point, he swung his sword that gave a pretty strong gust. Hearing Eren's challenge, the trio were quick to draw their own swords while Eren looked on with a smile. With a smirk, Eren braced himself and thought that this is not gonna be an easy win, but he just had a feeling that he won't lose. Eren closed his eyes to focus and tune into the surroundings. He could hear Ilya's footsteps, Brett's tightening grip on his sword, and even Judith's sweat as it glistened. He gave a smile, and in a flash, he was already in front of Judith, welcoming her with a powerful slash. On his back, Brett was already in position, ready to deliver his signature thrust, which Eren evaded effortlessly, while Ilya came at him with a horizontal swing which he managed to duck. He gave Ilya and Brett hell, even pushing Ilya back, but another figure leaped through the air with menacing eyes, intent on delivering a deadly blow. Judith landed with a force that destroyed the ground, but Eren managed to dodge her attack with a slide. But our feisty redhead wasn't done. She immediately went after Eren with a powerful slash that managed to break through Eren's defense. As Judith tried to taunt him, Eren countered Judith's attacks one blow after another. Brett and Ilya sprinted towards them, with Brett leading and joining in the fight as Judith kept her defenses up, blocking Eren's slashes. The blue-haired lord jumped in, parrying Eren's attacks, but Eren gave a quick slash using a large slash. Since the motion he did was too big, Brett and Judith used this chance to launch a double attack on Eren, and it was one blow after another, faster than any normal human eye could see. Eren managed to get away, but didn't have time to breathe, since Ilya was already at his side and unleashed a powerful swing that left the ground cracking. Of course, our hero managed to fend off Ilia's attack, and just as he did, Judith's up in the air once again and ready to swing at Eren with her full force. The impact not only gave a loud clang, but its pressure was so immense that the ground where Eren stood crumbled and exploded. As the dust started to settle, Judith asked Eren how he replicated Judith's swordsmanship, but our hero only smirked in response. Ilia also questioned him if the attack he used to fend off her blow was Brett's technique, which Eren also admitted that it is as well. Brett asked our MC how he was able to do it, but before answering, Eren looked back on all the training he did with them at the academy, saying that the only thing he knows is working hard with all his efforts. However, Eren added that he still hasn't mastered it all fully, but he intends to learn the trio's swordsmanship, while at the same time finding his own. He proclaimed how he wanted to make his will and swordsmanship much stronger, which is why he asked for the three's guidance. Of course, Judith was the first to speak up that what he was doing is cheating and theft. She has a point though, but Eren only answered that she should learn sorcery in turn, which earned him a sword thrown his way by our favorite redhead. Soon, all three of them took turns teaching Eren their swordsmanship, and as they sparred much later, our good boy MC managed to disarm Judith. Lying on the ground, she admitted that Eren won while also saying that she shouldn't have taught him in the first place, and soon, she disappeared along with the two. Now, Eren really thinks that he has become powerful, and just as he laid in bed that night, he thought to himself that he's ready to leave the place. Outside, a strong gust of wind started to blow in the front yard, and rumbling sounds can be heard of an object being extruded from the ground. A large metallic gate has appeared with a series of receding jams. Come morning, Eren approached the mysterious metallic door, inspecting it as he touched its cold surface. He noticed that it has neither a keyhole nor a door handle, and noticed that the sword of the old man in his dreams is placed directly in front of the door. This could only mean one thing. Eren gripped the sword's handle, pulling it off the ground, and thought that this must be the key. Now that he noticed it, the sword now fits perfectly in his hands, or maybe it's because he has gotten taller. But just thinking about how he initially wanted to run away from the old man's sword is the very same sword he needs to get out of this place. Holding the sword in both hands, Eren started to meditate, and in doing so, also emitted a yellow aura from his body. It made him look back and think of how he did a lot of firsts, from getting out of bed to swinging a sword, and even running until he collapsed. He did all of that because he wanted to be like the old swordsman, but it was done all out of Eren's will. In one swift move, Eren delivered 4 consecutive blows to the metallic door that sent it crumbling. Eren is finally free, and this is his sword now, not the old man's. Eren opened his eyes to the sight of his toes right in front of him. In a familiar place, it was his room. He noticed that nothing has gone astray with the blue orb placed by his bedside table. Nothing didn't change much, right? He must not have been out that long, so he got up to see his parents, and as he ran through the corridors, he heard a meow. Ruru. But oh, this one's a white kitty. It's not Ruru. Just then, Marcus shoos away the cat, and Eren calls out their beloved butler, only for the latter to hang his mouth in shock. Eren was just asking where his family is and how Marcus has a lot of wrinkles when the older man suddenly hugged him tight, weeping as he did so. This puzzled Eren, but Marcus only continued rambling about how relieved he was and how he thought Eren would never get out of this fear. When it finally dawned on Eren, he grabbed Marcus by the shoulder and asked how long he was asleep. And to his horror, the loyal butler answered that he's been asleep for 5 years, which left Eren shaking. Did he just pull an Urashima Taro in the real world? A flood of thoughts came rushing to his head. What will now become of his promise with the head swordmaster in Ilia? And what happened to the punitive expedition? But Eren could only ask about his parents, and just as quickly, both of them hugged their only son with tears in their eyes. Eren apologized, already on his knees, for disappointing them, but his father reassured him that he was just so happy he made it back. Afterward, he asked for Kurl's whereabouts, and his mother explained that Kurl is now at the Principality of Caesar, and is a disciple of a powerful sorcerer called Skina Kitten. Turns out she did become someone else's disciple, and a cat too. Hearing that his sister is doing alright, Eren breathed a sigh of relief. But then again, with his long absence, he burdened his families once again, so our hero assured them that he's been training pretty hard for the last 5 years and have gained satisfactory results. Determined and more confident about his skills now, Eren proclaimed that he'll become the son that they'll be proud of. And just as quickly, since it's already April, our hero expressed that he'll be taking part in the punitive expedition this time for sure. Yes, please, we need him to kick the Garen's butts. As if on cue, a voice coming from the door mockingly asked Eren if he'll be joining the punitive expedition, and telling him who gave him the right to do so. As he looked around, Eren is greeted by a much older Kurl. She too has grown up to become a fine young lady dressed in purple garments and a white cloak. Eren approached her with a smile, but Kurl was anything but that. In fact, she was pretty hostile. On the other hand, their mother asked how Kurl could be here since she's supposed to be at the Principality of Caesar, but the question was drowned out when the youngest Pereira proclaimed that she'll be the one participating in the punitive expedition in Eren's place. They were all shocked, but Kurl only said that it's not surprising and no law states Eren should be the one to take part in the expedition. Furthermore, she reasoned out that Eren was stuck in the barrier for 5 years, so who knows what will happen to him if he joins this time. Our hero tried to explain that he wasn't just stuck. He underwent rigorous training and is a lot stronger now, but Kurl still refused. She added that the expedition raises the honor of one's family and that of the two of them. Kurl thinks she's the better candidate in terms of skills and situation. And if Eren is still bent on joining and is confident in his skills, then they might as well settle it with a duel, unleashing her mana. Her proposal shocked their mother, but Eren was just silent. After a pause, he agreed to her request and led her to the training grounds to show the powers he has obtained. With brother and sister facing off in the middle of the training grounds, the guards can't help but gossip among themselves about how they thought Eren really died and how they never thought they'd see him again. Kurl grows impatient, asking Eren what he's doing standing weaponless in front of everybody, but our hero only stood in position, his hands already set like they're holding a sword already. This pissed Kurl off, and just as she was about to pop off once more, Eren fabricated a sword out of thin air, ready to strike at his sister's signal. Everyone was shocked to see Eren forge a sword out of thin air, convinced that Eren really did learn sorcery. But in his mind, our hero thought that producing swords isn't such a big deal. Kurl, on the other hand, gritted her teeth and procured something out of her pouch. 3 small swords, then activating her mana, she threw them in the air where they became large swords that came to life, flying straight toward Eren. All 3 swords flew swiftly, but Eren managed to fend off the first one, feeling immense power from the attack that he feels that his arm will be fractured just from blocking it. The second sword came from below, which he managed to block in the nick of time, while the third one flew behind him. His parents warned him of the danger, but thanks to his reflexes, Eren managed to parry the third sword with a swing as well. But Kurl wasn't done. Still glaring, she powered up her mana, still controlling the movement of the swords, and kept on aiming them towards Eren, from which our hero managed to fend off confidently. Kurl tried again, and this time, all 3 swords came for Eren at once as the guards panicked, asking if they won't stop the siblings soon. Marcus was worried as well, but he was also puzzled about one thing. Why hasn't Eren attacked her sister yet? Still furious, Kurl raised the swords again, ready to attack, but eventually abandoned the idea. Tears fell to the ground as the youngest Pereira finally showed her true emotions while Eren approached her. As soon as he's in front of Kurl, our hero assured Kurl that there's nothing to worry about and he's confident this time around, apologizing to her for how it took so long for him to come back. Kurl burst into tears, hugging his brother as the eldest Pereira comforted his sister. The Tsundere's sister finally reveals her feelings. Back at the palace, Kurl warns Eren to be extra careful in this expedition since it's much more dangerous now that a demon has appeared. But for us listeners, things just got all more interesting. But back to the story, Kurl shared that just a month ago, traces of a demon were discovered in the south portion of the Garen territory. In their world, demons are wicked creatures who obtain power thanks to a contract with the devil, and they are sometimes comparable to sorcerers. Their power comes from a heart of pessimism, and they're nothing like regular monsters. Looking at Eren, Kurl decided that she wants to join the expedition after all, still worried for his brother, but Eren assured her that he'll be fine. And as much as she wants to, another figure has entered the room, barring Kurl from joining. It's her master, the sorcerer Skeena Kitten. Shocked at her master's appearance, Kurl was quick to explain that her older brother woke up after 5 years, so she had to go see him no matter what. But Skeena was busy introducing herself as the most beautiful sorcerer in Caesar to Eren, and she is indeed beautiful. Eren greeted her and thought to himself that she looks way too young for a 50-year-old. Did she use sorcery to make herself look younger? We know as soon a day when we see one. As if reading his mind, Skeena said that Eren's right, but she didn't read his mind. She could already tell what he was thinking from his look alone. And it turns out Skeena is just as proud of her looks, but Kurl told him to pay her no mind. Hearing this, Skeena took this as a compliment and was about to spill the tea on Kurl rambling about his brother for the last 5 years. In a panic, Kurl could only shout, but Skeena, If Curdle promised to stay put, she'll keep her mouth shut about what Curl said back then. Seeing how his sister, his Chandera's sister, is being handled easily by Skeena, impressed Aaron, and as soon as the two were left alone, she explained that she had to show Curl, who's boss, to have her as a disciple. And then, just as suddenly, she presented Aaron with a necklace with a blue crystal hanging as a pendant. According to Skeena, this artifact can detect not only demonic energies, but dangerous factors as well, and it's also imbued with detoxifying properties for poisons. Aaron couldn't accept such a gift, but Skeena insists, explaining that she and Curdle worked on this pendant for the last 5 years. She poured her whole energy into it, hoping that she could give it to Aaron when he woke up one day. Touched at the gesture, Aaron gratefully accepts the gift as Skeena bids her goodbye. Before she left, Skeena told Aaron that he was much more exceptional than she originally thought and went on her way. Seeing that everybody is pretty much okay after all these years, Aaron walked over to the giant thing sitting on his bedside table, the blue orb gifted to him by Ruru. Where exactly is this cat? And when will Aaron get to take part in the punitive expedition for real this time?